All right, so this is our fourth video for the plasma cutting series. In this video, we are going to take the DXF that we have prepared and we are going to size it to the real life size of our project. So if we take a look at the actual DXF, we're going to find out that it's quite large compared to what we really want. And that's just because of the fact that it took a pixel-based picture that is measured in dots and pixels, essentially, and it is trying to translate it into inches, and it's going to be significantly bigger. So let's open up LibreCAD, and the first time you open up LibreCAD, if you're on the Linux computers, it's going to ask you the default units, and make sure that you choose inches as your units. So I'll double click this. It doesn't ask me because I've already done it. I'm going to grab my DXF file. Now make sure you grab your DXF file, not your JPEG. If I try to put the JPEG in here, it says no, it's not going to work. It requires a DXF, and that will work, and there we go. So let's take a look and see how big this actually is, because we can zoom in and out, but that really doesn't help us. So we are going to grab the ruler tool, and if you can't see the ruler tool, for instance, if you're in one of these line tools, just keep hammering on the escape button until it goes to the main menu here. And this is all reset, and there's your ruler tool. And once you get into any particular tool in this program, it gives you tool options. So right now I don't have a ruler tool until I select one of these actual options. And I'm going to choose distance point to point. So click that, and I need to choose 2 points that I'm going to use as my measurements here. So let's say this corner here, and right now it is snapping onto there. When you first start LibreCAD for the very first time, you won't have the ability to track the actual points like that. So if you look up here, there are different snaps. Okay, so this is snap on endpoint, snap on any part of it on the entity. Okay, so snap middle, center, intersections. So you can choose to snap on the grid. So that's where any of these grid dots. So basically, let's just use to snap on the endpoints. Okay, I'm going to choose this extreme tip, and then I'm going to choose, say, that extreme tip right there, and it's going to report. Let's just scroll in here, that it is 1,427.9123 inches. That is massive. It's bigger than the room that we are trying to plasma cut in. And that's just because it converted pixels into inches, and that's just what happens. So what we need to do is scale this down to a realistic size for our project. So I'm going to say that if I grabbed a tape measure and I was to measure that distance and decide how big I want it in real life, I might choose to make that 12 inches long. Let's just make it 1 foot long. So we need to convert this into 12 inches, and there's going to be a small bit of math required. So here's what we will do. I'm going to bring up a calculator, and on the calculator we have two numbers here. We have the 1,427.9123 inches, and we have the 12 inches that we want to achieve in real life. So you're either going to divide the 12 by the 1427.9123, or you're going to divide the 1427.9123 by 12, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now that the number that goes on top, the number that gets divided, is the small number if you're scaling down, okay? So if you're scaling down, let's put the 12 inches that we want this project to be and divide it by the 1,427, and let's put in the decimals, 0.9123, because it'll be more accurate. So we're taking the small number that we want, 12 inches, our real life model, divided by what it actually is, and we get 0.00840. So, I'm not going to call these all out, but let's just say when you go to do the sizing, please remember to include a bunch of these decimal places, okay? Don't just put 0.008. It's not accurate enough. So we will put 0.0084038. Let's just do that. And let's go and scale here. And I'm going to just write this number down on the side for myself. 0.0084038. Let's round that to 9. Good. Keep that aside. Close this up. Let's do a scale operation. So let's hit escape a bunch of times here and get out of this menu. Now we're back to the default home menu. Let us select the entire thing by clicking and right dragging, and all of that geometry is now selected. Let's go to the modify menu, and let's go to scale. So nothing happens. It's got a cursor coming up. And if I take a look down here on the screen, it says specify reference point. The reference point is just a point at which you're going to scale down to. I can just choose a corner or a middle. In this case, I'm just going to choose this bottommost corner. That's my reference point, and it's going to scale down to that point. Now, this menu comes up, and the first one is how many copies do you want? So if you just want to shrink it, then you would delete the original large one, or you could shrink it and keep the original. It just depends on what you're trying to do. I'm going to shrink it down and get rid of the original, and I only want one copy, so I don't need to select this. So delete the original file and only end up with the small version. Now, isotropic scaling, if you see what happens when I click this, it causes this Y box to disappear. Okay, so with that off, you have to specify the height and the length and the width of your image, which causes some stretching, or it causes even a lot more math to be done. If you click on isotropic scaling, it eliminates the length. All you have to do is scale down one of these, and it will do the math to scale down the other. So you scale the length, and it will automatically scale the width. Okay, and it'll keep the same proportions for you. These boxes here often are unchecked. I would check them, and we won't talk about those, but that just essentially says any of the settings of the original, let's just keep all of the settings the same. Now, I'm going to put my number in here. That is the number we calculated, 0.0084039. That is our scale factor. So it's going to multiply the entire dimensions of that previous image by this much, which is going to shrink it quite a bit. Let's hit OK. And there it is right there. It shrunk it down to our reference point. If I was to scroll with the mouse wheel and go in, what we'll find is an image that looks exactly the same. It hasn't pixelated or anything like that. If we scroll into it, there's no change at all. There's no pixelation because this is all based on mathematical lines. It's not based on little pixels. So we scaled it. Let's do a check to see if we were effective. So I'm going to hit escape a bunch of times. Comes back to our main menu. Choose the ruler tool. I'm going to choose my distance point to point. Make sure my snap for endpoints is on, and it snaps to that little point. Click there. And click there, and it reports a size of 12.0074 inches, which is close enough. Okay, so there we have it. We have scaled down something that was like 1,400 inches down to 12 inches. We are ready for this to be taken into the back room and prepared for cutting. Make sure before you leave, you go File and you save. That just saved my image over top of my old DXF. So when I leave here now, and I take a look at this particular DXF here, if I was to open that up again, it will be saved right over top, and this will be our 12 inches tip to tip, and there it is, 12 inches, we're good. Okay. Final steps are showing you how to get this onto a USB stick and where to go from there. That's it.